Did you know that? Does that scare you? Let's think about this. Is fasting bad? I think we all know there's a lot of benefits to fasting, from weight loss. It benefits your brain. It benefits longevity. There's lots of research on that. It increases fat burning and causes you to cause your liver to produce ketones, as well as deliver fat to muscles. So how does it raise LDL? Well, in the same process of making ketones, it also makes cholesterol. LDL cholesterol goes out from there. That LDL cholesterol is what delivers those triglycerides and those fats. So fasting's good, fat burning's good, ketone production's good, cholesterol happens at the same time. How can cholesterol be bad if it happens when all those other good things happen? Well, maybe it isn't. Maybe we need to take a closer look at LDL cholesterol. First of all cholesterol is the same. The good, bad cholesterol thing, that was just something to help sell drugs. It really oversimplifies things. LDL and HDL are transport trucks. They're like delivery trucks. Okay, they're proteins that deliver cholesterol. All cholesterol is the same. So understand that. All cholesterol is the same, and 80% or so of the cholesterol in your body, you made inside you. You didn't eat it, you made it in your own body. Okay? Almost every cell in the body makes cholesterol. Your brain makes its own cholesterol. Getting ahead of myself, but let's talk about what cholesterol does for us that's so beneficial, that's so helpful, because it does have a lot of roles, and it's often made the bad guy when it really should be. We need it. We couldn't survive without it. Now, as I mentioned, it helps deliver triglycerides, fat cells, fat molecules to our body. Now, it can deliver them to be stored in fat cells, but also delivers to muscles for energy, to other organs for energy, and it delivers ketones. Okay, so because those fat molecules cannot travel in our blood, they need the LDL protein package to deliver them. Now, if we have too many triglycerides in our system, that is bad, but that's not the fault of the cholesterol. That's the fault of us eating too much sugar that's getting packaged as fat to be stored. But it has nothing to do with the cholesterol that you eat or the fat that you eat. Okay, it is about the amount of, a fat can affect triglyceride storage, but that usually goes delivered right away as soon as you eat it. If LDL is delivering triglycerides, it's because you have an overflowing amount of energy. You have too much energy. But again, let's not blame the cholesterol for that. Cholesterol is along for the ride in that case. So why is cholesterol along for the ride? Why is LDL delivering cholesterol all over our body if our cells are making it? So it delivers, in that LDL cholesterol. That's what increases LDL, right? The LDL package that carries cholesterol. It delivers vitamins A, D, E, and K. Those are all fat-soluble vitamins, as well as CoQ10. You probably heard of CoQ10 as being good for the heart. And when they give someone a statin, they often prescribe CoQ10 because statins lower the amount of CoQ10 being delivered by the LDL. When they lower the LDL, they lower the CoQ10. We need CoQ10. It's like a spark plug for our cells, for our mitochondria, for our energy. It's a big part of how we create energy. It'd be hard to create ATP or energy in our bodies and in the heart, especially, because that's the thing pumping away, right? Our brain. We need CoQ10. And LDL delivers CoQ10 along with A, D, E, and K. It also fights infections. When we have an infection, LDL is very much a part of the immune response in fighting off viruses. We have a virus present in our world right now, don't we? That's kicking a lot of people's butts. LDL is part of fighting the virus, fighting off bacteria. Even some say fighting off cancer or preventing cancer. So LDL is very, very much involved in the immune response. It also increases cortisol levels. Okay, so if we have a stressful situation, like you're speaking in front of people, speaking on camera on social media, or you get sick, you need more cortisol. You go to work out, you need more cortisol. Physical activity, emotional stress. Cortisol is elevated to help you deal with that stress. Cortisol is made from cholesterol. What else is made from cholesterol? Vitamin D. Cholesterol gets into the skin. The sun hits the skin. It turns that cholesterol into vitamin D. Vitamin D is very much more like a hormone than a vitamin, but we create it through the combination of cholesterol and UVB rays hitting our skin. So we need cholesterol for vitamin D production. It's also a building block for all of our sex hormones. So cortisol, vitamin D, sex hormones start from cholesterol. So testosterone, estrogen, progesterone all start from cholesterol. That's why we make so much of it. It improves synaptic connections in our brain. Actually, the synapses have a lot of cholesterol in them. Our brain is actually produces its own cholesterol. It's so necessary for brain function. The brain, so most of our body produces it in cells, or we have excess cholesterol in our blood. That's from the for backup, right? That's from our liver. Our liver produces a lot of our cholesterol, but the brain produces its own cholesterol. That's how important it is. Okay, 25% of the body's cholesterol is in the brain. 25% of the cholesterol in your body, all in your brain. 15%, your brain's weight is 15% cholesterol. 15% of your brain, cholesterol. 25% of the total body weight, body cholesterol source here. Pretty amazing. So if it's a bad thing, why is it so important to the brain that it produces its own? It takes up 25% of the body's total cholesterol, and it's 15% of its weight is cholesterol. It produces synaptic connections and makes those. So it actually went through the synaptic connections it creates. They've shown in some correlation studies, not clinical, but correlation studies, improve cognitive function as people get older with higher cholesterol levels. Increased mortality, increased longevity, lower mortality, so that people live longer and have greater cognitive function as they get older with higher cholesterol levels. Odd, and yet we're fighting it somehow. I'm not sure why. As I mentioned before, the cell membranes of most cells in the body made up of cholesterol. So they often produce their own cholesterol for that, but we have backup. The cells that don't are your sex organs. So like the testes and ovaries can't create their own cholesterol, so our liver has to create it, and the LDL delivers the cholesterol to the testes and ovaries to make the sex hormones. So it's vital. It's vital. So on those cell membranes, in our muscles, all cells really, we have something called insulin receptors. That's what determines whether we're insulin resistant or insulin sensitive. We use insulin delivers fuel, so glucose and amino acids, proteins, into the cell for structure, for all the necessary functions to make proteins, to make energy, delivers, right, glucose and amino acids. Those insulin receptors are held stable by the cholesterol, these lipid rafts, so they're composites of lipids or cholesterol on those cell membranes that we have made of cholesterol. It's all made of cholesterol. So if we don't have enough cholesterol, or if we have low quality cholesterol, then we have a problem with those insulin receptors staying stable and being able to do their job, which means we might have some insulin resistance, which is a common side effect of taking a statin, is some level of insulin resistance and a higher risk for diabetes. Really odd that we have something so vital to our body, but we're selling a drug and telling people it's wrong and to lower the cholesterol levels, and we're selling drugs to help lower those cholesterol levels when they're really necessary. Maybe we should be looking at cholesterol quality. We should be looking at, is this high cholesterol with high triglycerides and high insulin resistance and high blood sugar? Well, then there might be a problem. But if we have low insulin levels, low blood sugar, high insulin sensitivity, okay, low visceral fat, low triglycerides, but we have high cholesterol, that might be a healthy environment when we look at quality over quantity. Because there really is no real evidence that cholesterol causes heart disease. Is it involved in the process when there's inflammation and damage to the lining of our arteries, to the endothelial lining, right, in those veins and arteries? Yes, it's involved. Just like firemen are involved at a fire. But when you go by a fire and you see firemen working around a fire, something on fire, do you blame the firemen for the fire? Or do you see, those firemen are actually working on that fire to put out that fire? LDL is likely to have a similar role because it's so much part of our immune system and part of patching and reducing inflammation. So why would this persist? Well, let's think about this. What do statins help with. They have a lot of really bad side effects. The tests are showing, the studies are showing, yes, they reduce cholesterol, but as far as deaths, they don't really change the death rate more than less than 0.5%, really. Mortality change difference between taking a statin and not taking a statin, the difference is the absolute risk changes by less than 1%. I think it's actually less than 0.5%. So if you're taking a statin with a lot of side effects, that like insulin resistance, it's got problems with lower cholesterol, so you're affecting neuropathy, deliverance of CoQ10, so we have reduced muscle mass, okay? All sorts of side effects with statins. It helps you, so clinically, when they test 50,000 people, it only helps by maybe less than, and this is their own funded study, funded by the statin company, and the best they could do. They funded it. 50,000 people they tested. And they only helped mortality, so increasing life by less than 0.5%. Why are they doing it? Because it's a $1 trillion drug. Statins have created $1 trillion in gross sales since the beginning. Billions, tens of billions for each company putting out their own statin. Tens of billions of dollars, often a year. Sometimes it's $2 billion, $3 billion a year. Sometimes it's more. Billions of dollars, trillions in total, but billions every single year from statins. So let's think about that. Could that be the motivation for making cholesterol the bad guy, this necessary nutrient that we use in so many functions in our body, and is such a natural part that our body so tightly regulates, produces it. It gets rid of it when it needs to. It absorbs the amount that it needs to when it needs it. You can get rid of it in our bile salts if we need to. If we have too much cholesterol, it'll get rid of it in our bile, pass it right out. If we need more, we can absorb it from our food, but generally we don't. And so many cells in our body, including our brain, produce their own cholesterol. Is it really a bad guy? Pair that with it's produced when we make ketones, burn fat, and fast. Maybe we need to rethink our fear of cholesterol and start looking less at quantity and more at the quality of our lipids. Talk to you later.